Hello guys, I hope that you guys are enjoying your break. I just kind of want to make this video for my students who maybe have not turned in your essay, which is about 50% of y'all. So I don't know if we're just confused about the essay, so I wanted to provide this kind of step-by-step guide as to how rewrite an essay so that there is no excuses as to why we haven't turned it in. So like I said, I'm just going to kind of break it down for you, every single sentence in your essay, so that we know exactly what we are doing. This is the prompt that we are answering. We are using the text A Quilt of a Country by Anna Quindlen. And this is our prompt. It says, explain your opinion on whether the differences between people create more opportunities or obstacles in society. And we know that it is an argumentative essay. I know that y'all's books are obviously in the classroom. In Canvas, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but I've included the text right here, Quilt of a Country text. If you click on it, it should open up a Google Doc with the text, okay? And this right here, ECR step-by-step guide, is the slideshow that I'm going to be walking you through. So you can go ahead and use that resource as well. That is in the first module in your Canvas. So anyways, now that we know our prompt, this is what your ECR prompt analysis looks like, right? Yours should be filled out, and we're just gonna kind of work on doing this introductory, transition, and thesis sentence first. Okay, so let me go back to my slideshow, and again, you have access to this on Canvas. So with your introductory sentence is basically just an overall idea that you have about the topic. Clearly, the themes, or that the topic that we are addressing with this text, is about America, about diversity. So you can say anything you want about those topics. If you can't come up with any ideas, I gave you those sentences as suggestions. So that doesn't mean that you have to answer every single one of them. Whichever one or you feel like you can talk more about, select that one. So your first sentence should be something like, America means to me this, or the United States represents blah blah blah. America is unique because blah blah blah. And you can kind of talk about that diversity and how we're built of, different kind of nationalities and things like that, and that's what makes it so special, the fact that we're able to work together. You can use the fact that we're described as a melting pot with a whole bunch of different cultures kind of intertwined. It's really up to you. It just has to be a general idea of the topic. Your transition sentence. For some reason, all of y'all hate writing a transition sentence, and I don't understand why. The purpose of a transition sentence is to basically tell the reader, this is the text that I am using to write my essay, and this is who wrote it, and this is what the text is about. That is all. So you have to include the name of the text, obviously, so that I know what you're using for your text evidence and the person who wrote it. So it should be something like, in A Quilt of a Country, the author, Anna Quindlen, writes about or argues about, and then you're telling me what she was talking about in the article. And if you don't remember what the article was about, first of all, go ahead and read it because it's on Canvas. But she was basically talking about how America is filled with a bunch of diversity. She compares it to a quilt built of a bunch of different pieces, but in the end, we're all able to unite and work together because in the end, really, it's our humanity that brings us together, right? That's a short little summary of what the text was about. So that is your transition sentence. Your thesis, you should already have your thesis if you did, again, the ECR prompt analysis, if you did this part. This is step number 4. So really you should be copying what you wrote here. But if you did not write anything there, okay, what am I doing? The first step is to restate the prompt, okay? Really, we should all know how to write the thesis. If we do not know how to write the thesis, I am quitting tomorrow because there is no reason why we should not know how to write a thesis. The first step is to just restate the prompt. If you don't know what the prompt is, this is the prompt. So restating the prompt basically just means that you're taking a couple of words from this but turning it into a statement. It's turning it into an answer. So if I were to restate it, I would say, I believe that the differences between people create, and now I have to make a choice. Am I going to choose to talk about the opportunities or the obstacles in society? So let's just say I select opportunities. I'm going to say, I believe the differences between people create more opportunities in society because, so there I restated the prompt. The second step is to answer the questions. So I already did that. I picked the side. I picked the opportunity side, okay? You could also pick the obstacle side. And then the last step is to state your two claims or reasons as to why you chose that side. So if you selected opportunities, you have to give me two reasons as to why you believe those differences are creating opportunities. If you selected obstacles, what are two obstacles that are being created in society? And you can use your T-chart. And again, I'm using, what did I go to? I'm using the slideshow. I have all the resources listed there. If you have your T-chart at home, or not at home, in the classroom, click on that link and it has a bunch of things that you can use. These are basically your reasons, right? So I could say, I believe that the differences between people create opportunities because it can lead to new perspectives or new ideas, which help society grow, and it can teach people tolerance and empathy. Boom. Those are my two claims. And I would do the same thing if I was doing the obstacle side. I would say, again, restate the prompt, I believe that the differences between people create obstacles because people can separate into groups and it can lead to discrimination and violence. Boom, two claims. So that is what you should be doing in that thesis. This is the most important sentence in the whole essay, so you have to make sure that you have it. Really, all of these are important sentences. The introductory sentence sets the foundation as to what your essay is going to be about. You're telling me what the topic is. The transition sentence, you're telling me what text are you even talking about. So there is no reason why we should be omitting it or not including it in our essay. All of these sentences that I'm giving you, all of this whole outline, it's not optional. This is what I'm telling you you need to include to write a good essay. I don't know why sometimes y'all think that, oh, Ms. Perez is just suggesting that I write a transition sentence. No, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you to write a transition sentence because I know that this is what good writing is. So there, we finished our introduction, right? Our next step is to do the body paragraph. So let's go ahead and get to that. So now our body paragraphs. Your claim, again, you're just getting this from your thesis. This is one of the reasons as to why you chose opportunities or obstacles. But you can't just say, like, if you selected it's opportunities because it can lead to new ideas and perspectives, you can't just write new ideas and perspectives for your claim. That is ridiculous. You need to have a little bit of an explanation as to what you're even talking about. So a little sentence, I guess, for the claim, I would say maybe one of the ways that the differences between people can create opportunities is because it can lead to new ideas and perspectives. With your claim, you're kind of restating your thesis. However, I don't want you to restate the thesis, or not the thesis, I don't want you to restate your prompt too much because then it kind of gets a little bit repetitive. So you're trying to find different ways to restate the prompt using synonyms instead now for the claim, but then including what your reasons are. I don't want to say too much because I feel like I'm going to confuse y'all, but hopefully that made sense. Your evidence. Let me pull up the text. So let me click on the Google Doc. I don't think I opened it. So this is the text, a quilt of a country. And when I say text evidence, I generally don't know how much more simpler to explain this because I feel like I make it pretty obvious as to what I'm trying to say. But I literally mean copy and paste the sentence. Like, I'll have some people, they'll give me a summary of the evidence. Stop making your life harder. I mean, first of all, we gotta have a sentence stem. Okay, and if you don't know what sentence stem to use, in that slideshow that I shared with you, I have a bunch of sentence stems that we can use. So let's use this one. Oh no, let's use according to the text. Okay, this is what including text evidence looks like. And I promise you, like, I am not, the reason why I'm explaining this is because I still have people who have no idea what they're doing when I say to include text evidence. So I'm going to say, according to the text, comma, because that's a introductory phrase. According to the text, quotation mark, because we are including words that did not come from us. I'm going to paste this. Boom. That is all that text evidence is. You're including a little sentence stem, and the sentence stem could look different. It could be any of these. The author explains, in the article it states, the text says, whatever your heart desires. And you are copying word for word the sentence that the author wrote. I don't know why I'll have people that just do crazy things. And, well, first of all, I have people that just do that. No sentence stem. That is wrong. You need a sentence stem. I'll have people that instead of putting like the direct quote, they'll be like, the author is saying that there was slavery and there was people burning crosses. No, stop. You don't gotta explain anything. Just put the sentence. Don't make life harder than it has to be. Evidence is probably the easiest thing about the essay, yet y'all find ways to complicate it for yourselves. The next step is the reasoning. Again, if you're an honor student, you should be writing 3 sentences of reasoning minimum, or you will be getting a 50. And the reasoning, I feel like, and maybe I just haven't really explained it well, but it's not as complicated as I feel like y'all make it seem. Reasoning is basically just an explanation of what the author is saying. You have to pretend that the reader has no idea what the text about, has no idea what you read. They haven't been in the classroom, so they don't know the conversations that we were having. In your reasoning, you're basically telling the reader, what does this even mean? How does this show that this is an obstacle? Or how does this show that this is an opportunity? Also, don't copy this evidence because I just selected something random. Okay, I wasn't thinking. But if I were to explain something, first of all, I also have some sentence stems for the reasoning as well in the slideshow. So let me see. And say, this evidence proves that, or this shows that, this matters because whatever. Okay, I want to say this matters because that one sounds good. So I might say this matters because it is showing that America has a history of discrimination and violence. Through slavery, and now I'm just going to explain what slavery was. Through slavery, white Americans abused their power simply because they oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. They felt superior to Black Americans. And now I want to talk about this, the burning of the crosses and the ostracism of other. I need to explain what this means. In your reason, you could also said, what does ostracism mean? Ostracism is blah, blah, blah. You're just explaining what the quote means. Act like the reader is dumb or something. Act like they've never, I don't know, they've never lived or they never read a word. You're just over explaining, kind of. So let's see, what else could I say? I could also say, not only is there ostracism towards people of different races, but also people of different religions. As the author mentions, let me make this a little bit. See, now I'm just going crazy because there's just so much to talk about with this topic, and I feel like none of y'all are getting into the actual like good stuff. Like I could write about this forever. Yet some of y'all make it seem like I'm torturing you by making y'all write 3 sentences. Like, let's see how much I can write. It says, not only is there ostracism towards people of different races, but also people of different religions. As the author mentions, after the World Trade Center attacks, there was a lot of uncertainty in our country. Let's say fear and politics led to widespread Islamophobia. And that's just people who are maybe scared of Muslim people. Is that Islamophobia? I don't know if I spelled that right. Which further led to hate crimes and alienation toward Middle Eastern people. In the end, this shows that the differences in ethnicity is capable of creating a dangerous environment for people who are minorities. Okay, look at how many sentences I wrote. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 sentences of reasoning. And y'all are upset that I'm making y'all write 3. Okay. Reasoning, you're just explaining what your opinion, well, not really, well, yeah, your opinions, your view of the world, how you interpret this message. What is the author saying here? And maybe providing a little bit more historical context or more background context. Okay. Obviously, there's 2 body paragraphs. You basically do the same thing. So now we're going to finish it up with our conclusion. Our conclusion, because it's an argumentative essay, we need to have a counter argument. If you do not have a counter argument, your essay automatically gets a 1 for idea development. And we do not want to get a 1. So let's make sure to include that counter argument. And what the counter argument basically is, you're telling me what does the opposite side think. So if in your thesis you wrote that you believe that the differences are creating obstacles, you have to tell me why might some people argue that it's actually creating opportunities instead. So I might say, again, if I wrote about obstacles, I'm gonna say, some people might argue that the differences between people are creating opportunities because, and then I have to give a reason. And you can go back to this little T-chart and I can say, because it can lead to many talents and cultures which make communities stronger, period. And that's my counter argument. And again, if you wrote about the opportunities in your thesis, you have to write about what someone might argue about the obstacle. So you're basically doing the opposite of what you did in your thesis. Okay, in your rebuttal, you're defending your argument again. So you're telling me, why is the counter argument wrong? So you might say, however, this is incorrect. And also, I have sentence stems for that too. Or you could say, however, this may be true, but, or this doesn't consider that, blah, blah, blah. So you're just telling me, why is the counter argument wrong? Then the restating of the thesis, you're just repeating what you said in your thesis, but using different words. Let's look up a thesaurus. Go to thesaurus.com. Use some synonyms for the restating of the thesis. And your final thought, just to kind of close this essay off, I want you to tell me, how can we address this issue? Okay? Because basically in this whole essay we've been talking about, the differences can lead to this, and this, blah, blah, blah. Diversity is so bad. I want you to provide a solution as to how we can solve the division that is caused by diversity. And that could be a bunch of things. That could be, we can raise more awareness. We can be more understanding of each other. We can make more of an effort of trying to get to know people that are different cultures. We can be protesting. We can be advocating for equal rights. Whatever you think. That is your final thought. And that's the end of the essay. That was it. So hopefully this has been helpful. Again, this slideshow and all of its resources is on Canvas. But I hope that was helpful for you. Email me if you have any questions. Hope you guys are having a good break. Goodbye.